This is going to be one of my most interesting videos. We're going to be talking about positive feedback loops and triggering a game-like obsession within your business. So specifically, obviously, this video is going to be targeted for building websites, because a lot of my people that are following this channel who are part of the community are all about SEO and building niche websites. But also, if you're not into building niche websites and you're just here for the information, this is also going to cover a generic sort of overhaul of business in general, you know. So whether you're into niche sites or you're not into affiliate marketing or whatever it is, this is definitely still going to be a useful video for you. All right, so this video, I've actually done some printouts as well, because I thought I'm going to make this really, really good and really in depth, because this is a subject that I'm always discussing with my partner and some of my close friends, and I thought it would be so useful to share with everyone else on my YouTube channel as well. So the first thing what I'm going to talk about is exactly what positive feedback loops are. So what a positive feedback loop is basically within your business identifying the hardest tasks or the most difficult tasks that help you to build momentum within your business. So everything in life is through input, processing, output, and then feedback. So the way that you actually build the positive feedback loop is when you approach a certain point of where you feel some type of resistance, you identify the problem, solve it, get the feedback from it, and then move on and equip yourself with that to move on to the next stage. So the way that I'm relating this with triggering a game-like obsession is when I look at different sort of people who are addicted to games, you can see that they have the same type of obsession and success within a game that they might do, that someone, within business may have with business. So it's the same type of mindset, and I think the two really closely correlate. And the funniest thing is, I actually recently saw a video on a guy who had a really bad obsession with gaming, came into business, and he's absolutely killing it with business, all based on his type of mindset and his approach to things. Okay, so within a game, when we look at a game, say for example, I know that many of you are guys and you know, potentially have played games in your time. So many of you may know, you know, COD, which is Call of Duty, or you may know Pro Evolution Soccer. I don't know, whatever game it is that you know, whether it's FIFA, Pro, whatever games, you've at some point in your life played a game. Now, if we look at this sheet here that I've got, I'll take it right in close for you. You can see there. Now, as we look at that sheet, you can actually see, it's a bit dark there now, but as you can see, basically we've got up here, this is like the end point of where we're trying to get to. So just say, for example, if this was like your business, then it might be like a point of making, say, a certain amount of money per month. So say, for example, you're trying to get your business to this amount of customers, which will result in a certain amount of revenue coming into your income stream. So what happens is when we approach this, usually, say for example, if we're talking about building niche sites or any type of, you know, drop shipping or something like that, what happens is a beginner becomes quite timid and scared. So when you approach, you're at the bottom all the way down here and you're trying to go up the ladder, you're trying to get up that point. And what happens is you look at these people who are very successful and you almost believe it's not possible for yourself. And you think, oh, why me? Why can I be so lucky? But forgetting the whole purposeful practice that you need to put in to actually become an expert or develop the skill sets and experiences to get to that point. Okay, so what happens is when we approach this, we're almost like not giving it our all. So we don't really get the right feedback, which in turn stifles our growth. So when we look at up here inside of business, it might seem surreal when you see, like, say for example, I don't know, a lot of you may have seen Alex Becker, for example, and you're like, how can I get to that point? Look at where he is, but forgetting the whole process that it's taking him to achieve that. So we may look at Alex Becker and assume, oh, you know, it's not possible in that sense. But then when we look at a game, for example, and this is where I really want you to understand the analogy. If we look at a game and just say, for example, I was talking to my partner the other day and she was talking about Candy Crush. So if we look at Candy Crush and I said to you, this person's on level 50 at Candy Crush. Okay, level 50 ain't high on Candy Crush. Just say this person's on level 300 and something on Candy Crush. If you look at that, the sort of mental correlation that you make with that is, oh, that person's like, you're straight away like they sort of got time on their hands. So you know that they've put a lot of time into it and they've practiced so much to get to that point. So they're so sort of far gone from where you are. When you start the game, just say you're on like level 10 and you get stuck, they almost look at it and just like laugh at it because they're like, that would be so easy for them. But if we were to look at that person and straight away like sort of make the assumption, it would be, oh, that person has wasted a lot of time on the game. So that's a negative of triggering the obsession. But why is it when we look at a business person, you don't think, oh, that person's just put in a lot of time? You almost think in your head that there's some sort of luck involved. So there is an element of luck, but that luck is nothing without obviously putting yourself in the right position in the first place. So if you don't take the opportunity, there is no possibility of luck. So like, for example, if that person got stuck on multiple levels, say they got stuck on level 10, level 50 on this game, on Candy Crush, on level 100, all of these different levels, if they got stuck on all of those levels, they would have had to overcome it. So they might have been kept tapping on the sort of resistance, trying to get through the wall, and eventually they break that barrier and they learn from it. So what happens is, just say for example, if you're climbing the ladder and this is level 10, so this is like the first point. I'm going to bring this back in. So just say for example, this is the first point. So we go up here and this is like, on a game, just say Call of Duty, you're fighting some really hard sort of level player who's at level 50. So to get here, you know that even if you come in here with no real guns, no real experience, you're going to get shot dead. Like if any of you have played Call of Duty, you would absolutely know. Like when you start the game and you sort of go in and you try and fight the guys that are way ahead of you, you just literally get shot like within seconds. Like even if you got you don't even have the right equipment at the beginning. So this is how business is, and this is how you need to look at it. This is the correlation I'm trying to get at. So like when you enter business, you don't even have the right equipment. You don't have the right funds. You don't have anything to battle these type of problems. So the only thing you can do is start building one step at a time. And so many people compare themselves to the people on level 50. So when I put it into sort of the perspective of a game, it's a lot easier to understand. It's like if you went into Call of Duty and you're like level 1 or 2 and you try and battle someone who's at level 100, you come in with your little handgun that they give you to start off with. And that handgun is like literally weak. Like I think you just get like a little knife and a handgun. So that's your whole equipment. You haven't even got any armor, nothing. And then you go in like for a free for all, like online. And then you might go in for like about, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, 5 minutes, and you get shot within, like, you know, as soon as you go in, you keep getting shot. Like, so within 5 minutes, like, you know, you may have been shot like 30, 40 times. And even when you're trying to stay stealth mode and all of that, these guys have got grenades, machine guns, all different things. There's even guys with snipers like waiting out for you. And you've got no way of sort of, you know, getting away from that. And this is the same way of when you're going up against big businesses. They're equipped with the artillery to just, you know, blow you out of the water. So you can't make the comparison when you're coming in. One thing you can do is look at it and understand that that's a point that you can get to. So if we were talking about, say, for example, niche sites, because a lot of you are into that on this channel, then we could say, like, if we look at some of the largest niche sites in the industry, say, like Making Sense of Sense, that's that lady, Michelle Shrewdner, I think her name is. So that site, you know, generates over 100,000 a month. Or we've got Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn, all of that. So like when you look at that, you may think, like it's out of your range. So if we were talking about it in business, that's how you would view it. A lot of you would view it like that. But then if we're talking about it in a game, in a game, you sort of understand, like if you see someone at level 100 or level, you know, wherever, way far from you, you already sort of have processed it that it's possible in your head. So if someone said to you, can you get to level 100 on Call of Duty? You'd be like, yes, I can, but I don't want to waste my time on it. So you'd be that confident in doing it because your self-belief would be like, oh, well, I know I can do that because that person done it. You know, you just know that you got to exhaust the same hours and purposeful practice into the task. And once you put that focus in, you know that it's a possibility to achieve it. But then if I said to you, oh, you know, look at Michelle Shrewdner or Pat Flynn and they're millionaires. Can you become a millionaire? Straight away, you're not going to be as confident. And that's exactly how, you know, sort of it's been for me for a long time. So that's the way I see it. And what the purpose of this video is for you to understand and really have it in your head that if those people are there, it's also a possibility for you, just like the game. Because when we look at the game, we understand that they've put in hours and hours of practice. And that's the exact same way as when we look at people in business, or how you need to see those people. That if they have got there, they've put in hours of practice and they've mastered the skill set and obviously gained a lot of experiences. So what I want to also talk about is actually moving up the ladder. So we can see here that we've obviously got this point, which is the end point. So that's the point you want to get to, yeah? And you understand, like, you've got that self-belief that it's possible to get there because other people have done it. You know, Pat Flynn has done it. Michelle Shrewdner has done it. So all of these people have done it. Now, one thing is, in business, you need to identify the things that actually move the business forward, because you can do all these other things that don't actually move the needle and take you up the ladder. So, for example, if we're talking about building niche sites, like, you could spend a lot of time on the aesthetics of the site and doing things like, you know, backlinks and whatever else. Like, backlinks and everything is important. So that's like really important. But you really need to identify the thing that's most important, that everything else becomes either irrelevant or unnecessary. So this is what I was talking about when I read the book, The One Thing. So it's, for example, if you had no option to do anything else but one thing to get to your goal, what would it be? So the main thing you could do in regards to building niche sites, if you were to identify the main thing that moves your business forward, it's writing content. So that is the most important thing you can do. So every single day, you should be doing nothing but but writing content until you get to the point of content that you're happy with. And then you identify the next most important thing after that, which would be building backlinks. So you can do all this advanced stuff, like, you know, even siloing and I don't know, like all of the fancy stuff, but it's really the basics that are going to, you know, move you forward. Like, all the fancy stuff is just to increase that little percentage by a point or decimals or whatever else, yeah? So when we look at this, just say, for example, if I was talking about this as a game, yeah? So we know this guy's on level 50 or whatever, level 50, let's take, for example. So he's on level 50, we're at 0.0. We need to get to level 50, but in between we've got these barriers, yeah? So these are like failures, if you want to call it that, yeah? So when we look at these failures, we're looking at it and we're thinking, okay, like, this is what happens. So a normal person, like people who are very pessimistic, they'll look at this point and they'll be like, you're going to fail, and I don't know why you're attempting it in the first place, because, you know, you're going to fail. And in that scenario, they're absolutely 100% right. But the difference is how you actually approach the failure and how you deal with it. Yeah, because what happens is, very successful people, and this is what I've seen across the board of everyone that I've seen, is that the most successful people look at this and they love it. They almost enjoy it. No one hates to fail, so they don't like that feeling, but they enjoy the fact that they're going to learn something. So if we're talking about it like a game, imagine you've already got it in your head, you're getting to level 50. You believe it because someone else has done it, so you know it's possible. Then you're setting out to get onto the path, but you know that level 50 person, you could never ever get to that point or beat the people that they're beating on that level, because you haven't got the right equipment, you haven't got the right funds behind you. So you can't even buy the same guns that they buy on Call of Duty, for example. Yeah, so you have to build up and more strengthen your team. Yeah, so you're going to even need team members, you're going to need all different things to get to that point. So when you're looking at the game, the first thing you do is you spend hours tirelessly playing it. Anyone who's sort of had that addiction with games, you would know. Like, you can stay up for nights and play and play and play and play relentlessly. And what happens is you're constantly taking in information, learning, processing it, applying it. and then learning from it, making mistakes and learning from it. But what happens is you always come against this one big barrier. It's like a level that you can't overcome. So you get stuck on it for like maybe weeks sometimes. And you keep testing and going through process of elimination and saying, okay, this didn't work. That did work. That got me almost over the barrier, but it's not getting me there. So what you start realizing is, there's a certain sort of path that you take, and you might be hiding behind a certain sort of object in the game that gets you to like a little bit further of beating this, boss or whatever on that level, like, or a zombie or, whatever it is. So eventually you sort of figure out by eliminating all the things that are not going right with it, and then you focus on the things that work. So you do all the things that work, and each time something works, you track that, and then you basically repeat that process. So eventually, you get to the point where you overcome the level. So that's your like first big failure, and that could take you like maybe weeks to overcome in a game. So for example, if we're talking about the game, this one task, so we're doing this one task. So the difference with this one task in a game, like if we were talking about identifying your one thing, is some people try and pick up, like all of the different elements. So just say, for example, you get like a few extra brownie points for picking up like, I don't know, a gem or something in a corner. You get people who will focus just on that. So they dabble around like level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just say this is like level, I don't know, level 10 here or 15 or something. They'll dabble at the first 5 levels because they're spending so much time picking up all of that stuff. Whereas someone else may be just shooting the zombies to move forward to the next level. So they'll sort of pick up a few of those gems where they can. And they've already identified that moving forward to get to level 50, your only job is to get there as fast as you can. So your focus, you're almost like, sort of tunnel visioned in getting there. And you're like almost like, okay, whatever comes up against my way, I'm just going to overcome it anyway, because, I already said it in my head, I'm getting to level 50. So you've already subconsciously made the decision that nothing can phase you if it were to come up, because you're just going to fix it. You'll figure it out. You've already set that in your head. And the only way you can create that type of certainty is by simply having self-belief that the destination you're trying to get to is very possible. Okay, so if we're looking about this, so they've identified the one task that moves them forward. So it might be, actually leveling up. So that's what it is in business. You got to level up, So this person's leveling up. They're trying to move forward. So they're moving forward and they get to that point where they get stuck. So eventually they've gone through the process of elimination and many failed attempts. And all of those failed attempts is teaching them something each time, because each time that they fail, they sort of figure out what isn't working. So that allows you to say, okay, don't touch the pot, it's kind of hot. It's the same thing from when we were a child. So you keep falling down and you keep getting back up. And I want to make this analogy right here, talking about getting up. Have you ever realized that like children, like when they can't walk, they keep getting up. And even though they fall down so many times, they keep getting up. And the reason why they keep getting up? The main reason is purely because they've seen other people walk. So they've got that self-belief. So like they believe that they can walk because everyone else is doing it, even though they have never done it before. But I think that becomes very distant when we talk about like success in business. People forget that you may need to fall down, many times. And even if you do, you need to have the complete conviction that it's possible to get to where you want to go because other people have already established that, So, okay, so you can work hard at, like I said, the most important things, or you can do, irrelevant things like making your site look pretty and whatever else, because you might get one person who just builds content all the way up and they move forward towards the goal, and then the other person's making it look nice and whatever else, and they're dabbling down here. So by the time this person even gets to that point, or if they do, because they've wasted so much time, the other person's already sort of completed that and moving on to the next one, so that is the way. And then this person kind of gets here and says, okay, at that point, they're even getting feedback from people on the site, and they're just like, oh, what do I need to change about it? What needs to look better? Done. One day. They could even maybe have enough revenue and income to just pay someone to do that job at that point. But that's what I'm trying to get at. So when we look at this failure, that's the first failure. So what happens is, to tackle this next point, because look, this is the first point, but to get up there, you can't battle at this level unless you're equipped with the knowledge from here. and here. So all of this knowledge that you've gained, all of these experiences and all of these failures is what gets you to that point, because you wouldn't be able to skip this and go straight up. It doesn't work like that, because there's certain things on this level, certain guns that you need to have to even enter the level. You can't even enter this level on certain games if you haven't even got the guns from this level. So it's the same with business. You can't play big boy unless you're even equipped with the right funds to even enter and compete at that level. Yeah. So when we're talking about games now, we can say, okay, well, you beat the zombie or whoever on this level, and then now that equips you with the knowledge and experience and the actual guns and funds, the money that you won, to get up and take on and continue moving up the ladder. So you then make your way up the ladder before approaching the next opportunity to learn. So this is what in the sort of common society is called failure. But this is an actual great place to be, because you start looking forward to these points when you look at them as a point of learning, because you're like, okay, well, next time I approach that, that's my point of where there's going to be some real heavy learning there. I'm going to be really put to the test, and everything I've been equipped with is all going to be tested at that point. So when we talk about this point here, you've now equipped yourself with all of that knowledge and experience. You've moved up the ladder, so you've gained more experience, more funds, more equipment. And at this point, you might have a few grenades, you got a sniper, you got like a shotgun, so you can get people at close range. So you've got the right tools to actually, win in certain scenarios. So if you've got someone close, you might get your shotgun, because that's a close range. Then they might be far away to a point of where they're trying to sort of hide behind an object, and you've got your sniper with the telescope, which is all the correct equipment that allows you to be efficient as possible. So at that point could be, if we're talking in business, it could be having the best hosting for your site, the best security, a professional writer that you've hired to tackle any article on the web, on the internet. So for example, you're going up against big competitors because at that point you've built up a lot of domain authority. You've built up a lot of page authority. You've got a professional writer, someone who's really good at persuasive writing, that it's almost guaranteed that you're going to be printing money within months. But you can only do that once you've built up enough sort of status and value at that point. Yeah. So if we're talking about these failures now, where the positive feedback loop is created is when we approach these failures, we look at reversing them. So opposed to actually looking at these as actual points of where you halt in that sense, you're always trying to figure out how you're going to reverse it. Now, what I can give as a point of advice, in this is when you're actually trying to reverse failures, really and truly, like you need to look within yourself and your business, and you need to identify and take real responsibility for whatever it is that you may be potentially doing wrong or you could improve on. So if you're the type of person, and this is just like with anything, if you try to blame other people, you're always going to miss the actual lesson in the learning curve. So you're always going to blame others, and you'll be like, oh, well, say, for example, I don't know, you blame someone for a loss of money or something like that, but who was the one who put them in responsibility for losing, to potentially harm your business like that? You were the person who hired them, or you were the person who partnered up with them. So instead of a person who blames people will look at that scenario and be like, oh, well, I lost this, or I wasn't successful because of that person. But yes, you may be technically right with the person, sort of losing funds, but a successful person will look at it and be like, I learned from that situation from hiring the wrong people. So what I'll do in future is be more careful with who I hire or who I partner up with. And that's just two different sort of avenues that they go down based on that kind of outlook on or perspective, So this is exactly what happens. And what I've got down here on the notes is, have you realized when you get stuck at a level on a game and you attempt to reverse the failure, you sort of have it in your head that you're going to level 50. So you're like, no matter how many times you get stuck here and you don't get past it, you keep attempting it. You're like a fly trying to get out of the window. When they get stuck and they keep banging on the window until eventually they find a route out. Yeah, that's exactly how it is, because, and you're almost like the fly, because at this point you don't know what you don't know. So you don't even know what it is that you need to know to succeed. So you're kind of just banging on the wall. And it seems so simple when you figure it out, because everything's easy when you know how. But the important part is learning to do something. So what happens is, you know, like when you use mentors or, you know, sort of courses and things like that, is you sort of get this in a blueprint. So the other person, say for example, if you're using a mentor, they've already been through all of this. So they sort of say, oh, you're stuck at that point. This is what I did to overcome that. So that's the benefit of how you're looking at a mentor and using them. But what people do is people think of a mentor as someone who just guides you all the way from the beginning like this. That is not true. Like what a mentor does is when you get stuck here, you sort of contact level 50, like one of your guys in level 50 now, and you're like, hey, I'm stuck on this level, like, can you help me over? And they're like, yeah, this is what I did when I got over that. I can't exactly remember, but this is the kind of route I took, and that's it, done. So you're just like, oh, apply the technique he just gave me, potentially overcome it and learn from it, yeah? But what happens is you might hear the term a lot of the time when people say the person you are that's very successful is not the person you are today. And the reason why is because this guy who you become at the end is the guy who has lots of knowledge, lots of equipment, lots of experience and all those different things, because he's been through all of this, you know? So until you've gone through that, you can't expect to have success, okay? So what you also want to do is within anything that you're doing, like you basically want to build up these habits that allow you to build momentum, because can you see there's like a swirly line on this thing, yeah? So look, you can see, and it goes like that, and it loops, and it builds a little bit more, and it loops. It's almost like it's going upstairs, and it's like a loop, and it goes up and up and up. And what that does is basically allows you to build up momentum. So, you know, for example, when you're identifying the most important tasks, like let's say, for example, if we're building content, so we're writing a lot of content on our blog or our website, what we're doing is we build up, just say for example, 20 pieces of content at this point. Then this point is 40 and this is 60 pieces of content. What happens is by the time you get to this point here and you face your first failure or whatever else it may be, you're at that point and you might not be getting a lot of traffic. So you're trying to, you know, increase your traffic, and you're figuring out, you know, I didn't I didn't do the keyword research correctly. I didn't do this right, and all these different things. So you might contact a mentor and be like, hey, I'm stuck at this level. Like, you know, can you look at my site? Or can you figure out whatever? So they give you some advice. They kind of get you through that. But what happens at this point is all the ones that you have written, they start working for you because they're on the internet. So all that knowledge, all that experience of writing those articles starts to come into play, because when you write an article at this point, you might be writing them in less than an hour, 3,000 words. Whereas at this point, it's taking you like 3 days to write an article of 3,000 words. So you're equipped with a different type of knowledge and skill set here. You're more efficient. And what you want to do is hone in on that. You want to hone in on that. You want to basically really sort of hone in on that skill set and use it as efficiently as possible. So you want to eliminate anything that distracts that skill set being put to work. So anything outside of writing content when you're building a site is irrelevant or unnecessary. Okay, so we're looking at that as reversing the failure here. What happens is when you get to that point, these articles start working. So all the ones that kind of look like it was, you know, you were writing to a ghost town and all those different things, it starts to pick up. It's just like YouTube. You put out 10 videos, you think, oh, I haven't got subscribers or anything like that, and you're only growing by like 2 a day. Then eventually in like a year, you're growing by like 20, 30 a day, or if not, you know, 100 a day. Because all of those old videos that you've put out are now coming together. They're still getting their 2 a day, plus all the others. These ones are getting 5 a day. Those ones are getting 10 a day. So eventually it all snowballs and it builds a momentum. So at this point here, you're gaining 100 subscribers a day. You put a video out, content, and it just sort of, boosts, because everything else is building that momentum. It's like when you try to push a car, it's so hard at the beginning, but once it starts rolling, it's almost like you can do it with one finger. Yeah, that's exactly the same way that business sort of works. So you build that momentum, but the only way you can build momentum is by identifying the things that are moving you forward. Because, for example, if you were trying to say, for example, what we're saying, push a car, but you focused on changing the tire, then you're not going forward. Like, that thing might maintain the car, or it might, repair it. Yeah, so in that scenario, you're basically wasting time, okay? So what happens here as well is each time you reverse a failure, I've also got down that it boosts your confidence, because what happens is when you approach it, you're kind of skeptical, kind of unsure, and whatever else, and then you achieve this. You figure it out, whether you're contacting your mentor, whether you're going through a course, whether you're speaking to others who are also, just a couple of steps ahead of you. So someone who's just on level 15, you sort of look at them and I'll contact them. So I might contact a few people I speak to on Facebook and, say, look, I'm stuck at this point. How do I overcome this? And they're sort of like, oh, I was just there. Like, I just got stuck at that level. So they're like, yeah, this is how you overcome it. What happens is once you apply what they tell you, you overcome the situation, you learn from it, and you feel confident. So the person here has much more confidence than the person starting out, because this person knows it's possible. They know that it's possible because they've just overcome the first sort of big hurdle. Okay, so all of these things are happening. So you're identifying the most important thing to move forward. You're doing that one thing every single day, and you don't do anything else until you've done it. Now, if you were going to ask, if you're doing that one thing and you're writing content, like, can you not do anything in the afternoon? If you've written your content for the day and, you've sort of figured out how many pieces of content you need to write for your whole site, and you're kind of like, yeah, oh, well, I've written content. What do I do with the rest of the day? Then you identify the next most important task. So that's obviously building backlinks. So if you've written content for the day, then move on to building some links, But if you're not sort of a person who's even building backlinks, then just identify the next thing that's most important. Whether it's potentially design or whatever else, then it could be. But you need to identify that and really weigh up how important that is. Yeah, what impact that's going to have in regards to you getting to level 50. If it doesn't move it forward there, then you're wasting your time. You need to be doing something that is going to move you there. If you've done everything that kind of can move you there for the moment, then you can move on to irrelevant things. Yeah, but so basically, you're doing that one thing and you reverse the failure. It boosts your confidence, builds some momentum. So all of this is what builds the momentum. You see, because you've got the confidence boost. You've got a little bit more equipment. You've got a little bit more funds. You've got all of these things that equip you to battle this guy up at the next level. So you come here and you're sort of like, like I said, you've got that shotgun, you've got a couple of grenades, you've got all these different weapons, and you're sort of equipped, ready to tackle that person. And even still, you're still not fully sort of, past this point. So this person might have a bit more guns than you and whatever else. But what the difference is at this point, you've already set so many defaults inside of you that you sort of can fall back onto your default mode that is built for survival, and it's equipped enough at that point to get you out of the situation. So I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and I was talking about, have you ever realized, like, if we look at all the most successful people in any field, we take a look at like a boxer, just say Anthony Joshua, we take a look at Lewis Hamilton, we take a look at Tiger Woods, Michael Schumacher, Michael Jordan. All of these people, they get into like some sort of dire situation inside of whatever sport it is that they play. And then they manage to pull it out the bag last minute. Like, even when their team's losing or they're about to lose, like Anthony Joshua gets knocked down and he manages to pull it out the bag. The reason why is because they've triggered the game-like obsession of where they've practiced one thing so much that they've sort of built a default mechanism that they fall back on to come out of situations. And then also with the confidence and self-belief, they know that they can get to the top, is what equips them with the right mindset, the right confidence, like obviously which is mindset, and the right tools to overcome any situation. Okay, and that's exactly what you want to do within your business. This applies to anything, whether you're doing it for, sort of niche websites, SEO, to whether you're doing drop shipping, doing paid advertising with affiliate marketing, or any type of business. You really want to trigger that game-like obsession and work hard at the things that are going to move your business forward. And you want to build habits in those things, because the only difference with successful people to people who are unsuccessful is their habits. So you want to build up the most successful habits possible. Okay. And that's about it, really, because I don't really have anything more to say. I've basically done it all. So like I said, you just want to basically build up real game-like obsessions with whatever it is that you do. Keep hammering on the wall if you get stuck at a point. Try and find people who've just been just ahead of you, or someone who's way up who can potentially help you. The person who will be more useful will be the person who's just done it, opposed to the one who kind of, sort of remembers it as they're at a level so much far ahead of you. So really be careful as well of who you listen to online. Oh, sorry. Yeah, really be careful of who you listen to online as well, because you might get, the lighting's going crazy. You might get someone like Alex Becker who's like way gone from where you are, and then you get other people who are just ahead of you, and those are the people you might want to sort of follow and listen to, because they've just been where you've been. If someone's way gone from where you are, they sometimes don't really remember or recall on everything they had to do. Okay, but anyway, this actual PDF, sorry, this sheet is going to be in a PDF for you to download. I'm going to leave it below the video, so you'll be able to get that. And yeah, you can basically stick it on your wall or whatever. This is something I created myself, so I hope you can use it and find it useful. It's about building momentum, reversing failures, and identifying checkpoints. And it's exactly the same as playing a game. Only thing is, if you win at this, you win in life. So I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, make sure you leave a like on the like video. Make sure you leave a like below. And yeah, that's about it. Like, if you got any questions or comments, or you want to sort of put in your 2 pence, then make sure you leave a comment below as well. And I hope you enjoyed it, because I'm not trying to come across as any guru or anything like that. These videos are just purely to share experiences and research. And this was actually gained from a book called The Organized Mind. That's a really good book. I would highly recommend. I'm going to leave a link to that book as well. It will be an affiliate link, of course, because that's what we do. And it just compensates me for sharing this value with you. But yeah, that's a really good book, Organized Mind. I suggest you go check it out. But until then, guys, guys, take care. I'll speak to you soon.